Actually?
Yeah. They're like following us with their headlights off.
Pentagrams and stuff.
Oh my god. They're stopping. Should I start the car?
Yep, yeah, they're getting up.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hit our car?
Alright, so obviously this is a different kind of beginning to a video. I know you guys didn't really see much of Discord and obviously all the notes, kind of like the behind the scenes stuff, but I figured this was very important to include in the video, and you guys will see why in a couple of minutes. So obviously I am here with Robert. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And we got a couple notes here. So last night, me and Robert were on call for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours, I'd say. Just going over what happened in the upcoming clips. We had both really realized that there have been a lot of different incidents ever since we first met, ever since 6th grade. And there are three main big ones that we know for sure are paranormal, no questions asked. Going in order, we have the light flying off of the tripod, a shadow seen walking in the woods, and then footsteps in the basement heard amongst many different people that don't really know each other. Me and Robert know all of them. It's just kind of like a different friend group kind of situation. And let's just say Zach, for example, just one of the names on there, doesn't know Junjin. Junjin doesn't know Zach. They don't. Max doesn't. You know, like, so like literally no one knows anything about the other, and yet they all reported the same thing around the same time when sleeping over at Robert's, including myself.
With the same description of how the steps sounded too. It's not just like, oh, I heard footsteps. It's like same description, same footsteps, same time. It's just too perfect, you know?
Right. In the upcoming clips, we got things that I genuinely never thought I would capture. Instantaneous responses, 6, 7, 8 times, like non-stop, consistent. And at the end of the day, I think there was something following us, but obviously there's no for sure guarantee way to tell that. But anyway, so let's get into the notes because I know we don't have all night. So let's start with number 1, light flying off a tripod.
Right.
This was back, I'm gonna say senior year of high school. So a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so me and Rob, we were making a short film series. We were filming a interrogation scene, and so we had this light tied and clamped onto a tripod. So it was not going anywhere. It was really secure to the tripod. I remember specifically, I was like, dude, we're gonna break this fucking cord. Like, it was tied tight.
Yeah.
And so after the scene was done, we went upstairs, we ate dinner, whatever. So then we went back downstairs, and at the time we were probably 10 feet away from like the area of which the interrogation scene was set up. 10 feet away, not really paying any attention to it, and all of a sudden,
What were you even doing in that moment?
I think we were on our phone trying to figure out the next scene because we weren't done with that episode. We had the
Yeah,
chase
we were
scene
trying
after
to
that.
figure out the final. We ended up being like, when it fell, we were like, we just kind of both looked at each other. We're like, hey, you know what sounds fun? Some Call of Duty.
Yeah, we wanted nothing to do with that. But when it fell, it didn't just fall. I mean, you guys got to remember, it was welly tied.
Yeah, it wasn't just like,
and it was
something was loose and it just kind of like hit. No, it was
almost like thrown at the ground. And like Robert said, we kind of both looked at each other. We were both startled. I remember I was scared shitless, and I was like, "Let's go upstairs and play Call of Duty." Like we were done being down there.
Yeah.
So the next thing, this was the first paranormal thing that has really ever...
Hold on, but it's important to note too, though, we did booby trap the basement for the rest of the night. I don't know if you remember, we put like Kleenex and toilet paper all over the basement, seeing if it would fall.
I remember that.
And we put like pens on edges of tables to see if a draft would catch. We put the door handles in specific positions. I mean, like, we were pretty thorough. Nothing happened. Nothing else.
True. That was like literally, that was the one and only, like, catch me if you can. It's done and it's over with, right? Now going back in time to 6th grade when we met, when we first hung out, we in the woods saw a shadow walking, kind of just aimlessly minding its own business, and we thought it was weird, but it was just kind of like, that's weird, and we discussed it a little bit. I don't know, it's weird that, like, because I obviously knew, like, before I ever came over to your house, you told me you had a gravestone, and that time I remember I was like,
that was the draw. That was the draw.
Your trap worked. But I remember, I mean, shit, dude, I've been in the paranormal for how fucking long? Like, I'm surprised I didn't jump straight to, like, ghost. So, moving down the list, next we have the footsteps in the basement. Again, these were all different instances. They were 4 different instances.
They were also, like, time apart. So, like, when you heard it was probably 2015. When Max and Zach heard it, that was, like, 16, 17. Jung Jin was, like, 16, 17. Probably Max was 16, 17, 18. Zach, same.
Right. So, it's...
And also, it's important to note that after they heard it, they never wanted to sleep in the basement again.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And Max is actually a non-believer of ghosts, so for him to bring it up to Rob the next day, it really said something to him, because it was like, I guess if you want to call it a turning point. For Max, it was, I don't believe, to, okay, well...
some weird shit's going on.
Right, like what the fuck is that? And weird thing to note is Robert did not hear the footsteps one time whatsoever. It was always, I guess if you want to call it, a third party. It was always me. It was always Zach, Max, or Jun Jin. Again, these were completely different times, completely different people who don't even know each other. But that is probably the biggest thing to do with this investigation. Robert, explain why.
So, my grandma died in January 2015. And so my uncle had slept in the basement, and he's a believer. He's pretty into that. And people who'd slept in the basement, I know me and you slept in the basement when we were in like 6th, 7th grade. Right. Nothing really weird happened. And I know that, like, but after that time, when, like, relics were brought, from my grandma's apartment, I know that that's when everything started happening, and that's when, like, shit started hitting the fan, I guess. Yeah.
And the weird thing is, you guys can see that we have noted nothing has happened in Rob's room, and that just so happened to be where his grandma's Bible and cross is.
I'm gonna go grab it. Hold on, give me 1 second.
So, a very weird thing to note, getting more into why we're doing this kind of portion of the video. I go through these weird phases where typically, like, I feel I can vouch for, like, a lot of people. You have the thing that you like, you go to that thing for entertainment, and that's really about it. Once you find it, there's no real, like, well, I'm gonna see if I can now get into X, Y, Z, right? I go through these kind of spurts where I am interested in the most random shit. It could be how, I don't know, fucking a keyboard works, or how you package a bag of chips. It is, like, literally random. And it just so happened to be this one time I was very interested in computers. Now, for those of you who don't know, Robert is majoring in computer science. He's very smart. He has built every single computer he owns. The guy's a fucking genius. So this night, I was specifically interested in, like, all the parts that make up a computer. And so Robert has tons and tons of computers laying around that he just uses for scrap parts. So on, I forgot the date, but it was one
February
night.
24th.
So, okay, so it was February 24th. We were downstairs in his basement in the unfinished area. All of his grandma's relics, or I shouldn't say all, but 99% of his grandma's relics are in the unfinished area where we were.
I mean, besides the Bible that's in my room, it's
Right.
everything else.
So then at 11:26 p.m., not even 11:30, we decide to go upstairs for no real fucking reason.
We just were like, oh, let's go upstairs and grab something.
Right. And
Just, but like out of nowhere. It's not like we're talking about something and I'm like, okay, like I'll go up in a few and I'll grab it and I'll show you. It's just like
it was
I'll go
literally
upstairs
on
and
the
grab
spot.
something.
Right. And so then all of a sudden, we go upstairs and I had noticed, because I went upstairs first, I had noticed that there were high beams shining in through Robert's front windows. And typically at 11:26 at night, no one is sitting in front of someone's house with the high beams flashing in their front fucking windows. So I was like, Rob, there's a truck. So then we kind of go into like security mode, and we're looking at this truck from two different windows, and when it sees us, it all of a sudden speeds off. And this is February.
Well, first the high beams turned off, and then
right, it literally took the fuck off. It didn't just drive away. It was like it was speeding. Like I think we even heard the tires screech.
Yeah, well, remember we went outside with the cop later,
right?
And there was literally tire marks on the snow that it was on. It was like,
right.
So yeah, it definitely wanted to get out quick.
And so the point in us bringing that up is we were talking last night. We found it very weird, and literally, if this is not what we believe it is the biggest coincidence of our lives. But because we were downstairs where all of his grandma's relics were, we believe that it was Robert's grandma that just kind of not made us go upstairs, but was like, stop talking about computers, get your ass upstairs, some shady shit is happening.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much.
It's kind of like, almost like, it's like if a guardian angel and a spirit were both in one.
Right.
Which I'm sure is possible, but like, it's like if that was in one, that's what it is. I mean,
right. So that was the biggest, that little section right there, everything from footsteps to the truck incident, that was like the biggest, like, holy shit, this is where we were discussing last night, like, this might be your grandma. And wow. Moving forward, something very weird. Robert has a dog. His name is Charlie. He is a lab. Beautiful dog.
Cool.
Great dog.
Pretty cool.
Very good boy. Charlie never barks, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
He's too lazy for that. He just lays around all day and waits for dinner.
I don't believe we have a date, but recently, within the past year, me and Rob were up. We were having a sleepover at his house, and at 3 a.m., all of a sudden, Charlie starts barking at the back door. And again, Charlie never really barks. It actually woke up Robert's dad. He went to go check. There was nothing there. For those of you who don't know what 3 a.m. is like, it is known as the witching hour. It is actually, fun fact, it is known for when the spirits are the strongest and your body is the weakest, which I didn't know until recently. Another weird incident was this.
We were just stupid that night. Can we just put that out there that we were just stupid that night?
Right then and there, we should have been like,
no.
Other than like, who the fuck's out there? We should have been weighing all of our options, because at this point, a couple paranormal things that do have no explanation to where it is like, this is a spirit, this isn't, there's no explanation, have happened. So for us just to be like, instantaneously like, who the fuck's out there? Why is someone near your house? It was like, bro.
Yeah. But then again, we didn't want to like provoke, you know, we wanted to make sure that we were okay. Because there's always a risk that if you're like, hey, who the fuck's out there? You're going to hear, I'm here. And then someone's
yeah.
and then the next second you're in a fucking shed with a dude with a machete.
Right.
And you don't know what to do.
Yeah. So earlier that night, before Charlie started barking, we had went for a walk, and so as we were leaving for the walk, we heard a strange noise coming from the woods around 1 a.m.
But it was like,
it was almost like a
lure a dog.
Right, like you kind of like tisking or like clicking your tongue, and it came in the general direction of the gravestone. Do we think it was paranormal, Robert?
I mean, there's cases for both, but I mean, you're gonna see that in this document, there's a lot of stuff that is not paranormal that says unknown, right? So the scratching at the window, Charlie barking, and that are the main ones. And it's like, at the end of the day, if we said that that was paranormal, that changes our investigation totally. So for that reason, because then if we were wrong, and if it was someone, then other decisions that we make along the way are going to screw up the whole investigation. So at the end of the day, it's unknown. My hunch, I don't know. The only reason I think it's paranormal is because it's in the direction of the gravestone. Otherwise, like, I don't know.
I would have to agree with you, but I have to say it is, in my opinion, 100% paranormal. Because, again, in the upcoming clips, you guys are going to see something that...
Crazy.
But after the fact, after we were done with everything in the investigation, we were like, let's go for a walk in the woods with the K2, which is also an EMF detector. If you guys don't know what that is, I'll put the fucking definition right there. But it's at this point where I was like, something is literally like, follow me. Let me show you what...
I can show you the world.
Yeah, like literally, like let me show you the way here. So me and Rob, we had went for a walk the night of the investigation, so about a couple days ago.
Yeah, still kind of stupid that we did that, but you know what? It's okay. It's adrenaline.
And so we had went with the EMF detector and my GoPro. And right as we got into the woods, we stumbled upon this pumpkin that was just kind of like off path, but right then and there, the EMF detector... I don't know why there was a pumpkin. It's fucking December. Right then and there, the K2 started going off like crazy. Now, it didn't go past the second color, which is like a lime green, but it was making a ticking noise, and the ticking noise was kind of like a brrrr, and it was constant. And then when we had moved away, like literally a foot or two, it stopped. And it only was making that ticking noise and going off when we were facing the gravestone. Yeah. So, that being said, going back...
That's why we're saying Aladdin wants to show us the world to the gravestone.
Going back to, you know, hearing the weird, strange noise in the general direction of the gravestone, anyone can say, like anyone could not know walking through the woods with a K2. Let's just say we get fucking Brittany and Jim walking through the woods with a K2 for the fuck of it, right? And they just turn and they see the K2 go crazy. They're like, oh, that's weird. Only this spot has a like specific amount of energy, I guess, if you want to call it. But with the knowledge we know, it's like, okay, well, it's definitely saying like gravestone is literally straight ahead, you know, 20, 30 feet. Walk that way. So for us to not 100% classify the weird, strange noises in the general direction of the gravestone, which is pretty much the general direction that the K2 is telling us to go. Two different instances. It's kind of like ass backwards, but like Rob said, if we were to for sure say it was paranormal and then later find out like it was a human, it changes a lot, if not everything. And again, all of this is happening within, I don't know, I'd say 50 to 60 feet of the gravestone. Like, it's all within a perimeter that this is like a hot radius, if you will. Rewinding, now giving you guys the history of Robert's house. This is where last night when we were talking and we were like, we're definitely dealing with two spirits. One of them, which I think is a little kid, which you guys will see why in the video. But a lot of it really came down to the consensus of, well, besides the little kid spirit, it's Robert's grandma. Here's why we pretty much know for like 99% fact that Robert's grandma is one of the spirits residing in the house. So the history of Rob's house, there are no previous owners. They're the first owners. You built the house, right?
Yeah.
I thought so. It was built in 2011. It's been 10 years since the house was built. Before the house was standing, it was just forest. There was nothing really, big and upcoming there except for, the land was obviously for sale for real estate. But the entire wooded area was a big farm area, and we believe that it was a animal farm, not like a wheat farm, correct?
Correct, because we had the horseshoes and we found some other stuff.
Right. We have found proof of farm tools, and like we said, the house has only been there for 10 years, so there's not a lot of wiggle room for a lot of like disastrous shit to happen. Obviously, before the house was even built, before the land was even for sale for real estate, yes, accidents happen on farms all the time, even to this modern day with all the safety equipment and all the safety gear and technology that we have. However, going back into me saying I do believe there was a little kid, the original farmhouse actually still stands to this day, and people live in it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's the ancestors that live there.
Okay, so the reason I think it is a little kid spirit is it gives off little kid vibes. It's kind of like when you give like a little kid like your phone and then you start like fucking gnawing on it and shit. You're like, no, don't do that, and they still do it anyway. That's the kind of behavior that this spirit was, like, I guess, giving out. So I think a little kid could have died on the farm because obviously, back then accidents happen. We have found evidence of horses there, so right away.
We also heard little kids laughing in the woods.
We have. That's right.
Grandma's in the house, little kid in the woods. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
But then, go ahead.
I want to know how the kid died. Because obviously, again, a lot of people say, well, in order for a spirit to reside, there has to be something disastrous that has happened, or they have to have unfinished business, which isn't always true, but a good portion of the time, it's like, yeah, they were shot, they were stabbed, they died really early in life from cancer, or an accident happened, and that makes them like want to go back, so to speak. So, it makes you question, like, well, what the fuck happened to, little Jimmy for him to now be roaming around this little area of the woods? That was the biggest reason why we think it was Robert's grandma and this little kid, is because there's not a lot of, like, we don't think the actual house is haunted. We think it's the land around it. If the house is haunted by anything, it's Robert's grandma. We are obviously doing a little sit-down part here because the footage that was on my camera from outside during the investigation was corrupted. My camera turned off by itself, and I don't know how it necessarily did so because I was still at 40% battery. But basically, I wanted to do a sit down video here to kind of just run through everything that had happened with like our end of things, and then obviously show you guys what happened with the GoPro at the gravestone during this time frame. So basically, we had went out there and we had picked a spot pretty much, I would say pretty much aligned with the gravestone.
Yeah.
Like it was
20 feet away from it or something.
Literally.
20, 30 feet.
We got as close as we could get without going into the woods. So we had set up the EMF detector on the gravestone with my GoPro while we were asking questions to the spirit box and the little voice recorder, which I will have to go through later at home just because of time. But we were asking questions and we were getting some things, but it wasn't anything crazy.
Nothing really major until you slowed it down.
The temperature on the spirit box went below 2, which I know it may not seem like a big deal to you guys, but I've never really had it go below -2. It went all the way to -5, and then the temperature like glitched out. It went from -5 to me resetting it, and then it went from 0 and +1, +2, +3, +4, +5, all lit up at the same time. It was like pretty much all of those numbers were flashing. At one point we had asked it, do you want us to stop recording? And that's when something that I've never seen happen.
The camera turned off.
The camera stopped recording by itself. But like when we had asked that, it was my GoPro that turned off first, and then my GoPro started recording again by itself. And I know my GoPro has a setting, like a voice control setting, and it was off. And
it was pretty weird.
Me and Robert were even like trying to mess around with the GoPro, and we had asked it exactly what we asked the ghost, and it did not like activate the voice control when we had turned the voice control on.
Do you want us to stop recording? Yeah, so that's not triggering it.
It wanted nothing to do with the tools, but it wanted everything to do with us knowing the fact that it didn't want to be recorded.
I think it just doesn't want to be disturbed. I think it just wants to coexist.
It just wants,
at the end of the day,
it just wants to rest and do its own thing. And then my spirit box it made this really weird, like, shriek. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was like a shrieking noise. Like, it quite literally, I think you could back me up on this, it sounded like someone was being tortured. It really did. And then all of a sudden, Rob was like, car, and his court. And so I turned off the light, and we had, very clear as day, seen the brake lights of a car. But when Rob went to go check it out,
there's nothing.
There was no car whatsoever. And we both say, like, we can hear when a car comes in and when a car leaves. And we would have heard it. I guarantee it. I think the biggest sign that we had gotten, and I hate saying it because I wish I had the footage, was when the spirit corrupted my footage. Because it literally said, no, you are not having this footage. And it's like it literally stripped it from the camera. All my other footage from like Montana, or when me and Montana went randonauting, is fine. Everything you can play, everything you can see, it's just literally erased from my SD card. And I tried to recover it, but the spirit said no.
You should ask if that's been in the woods for like since we were in 6th grade. What? Whatever the fuck it is.
How long have you been in the woods? How long have you been in the woods? How long have you been in the woods?
What is it?
Yeah. Wait, what the fuck?
Huh.
Yo, my light just died.
Really? Can you still get out? There you go.
What the fuck? No, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna turn my light on low and keep it at low. What the fuck? Like, here, look. Actually, let's leave that on. So look, so this is low, medium, high.
Weird.
It's fully charged. Which I'm like, okay, I guess I'll have it on medium. Seems like the brightest setting that we can go right now. I don't know, that's weird.
Here, I just tried.
Dude, what the fuck?
I just tried to put it on the rock there. Nothing happened.
What is that?
Either my neighbor or some possessed lady. Can you ask this questions, like ask questions to raise it or whatever?
Now this is acting up. What the fuck?
Because when the screeching happens, if that starts acting up, that's when
Actually, I'm gonna try communicating with the K2.
Okay.
Can you please make the K2 change colors like this? If you are here with us. If you would like, we can stop recording. My GoPro is recording again.
Yo, car.
Wait. My camera's dead.
That's freaky. Brian, there's a car that's just stopped.
My camera's dead and my GoPro just stopped recording by itself. I see the car.
Where is it? I'll go. You stay. Stay and watch that.
Okay. Yo, what the fuck? Yo, this is actually crazy.
Is that recording now?
Yeah, it's it stopped by itself and recorded by itself.
Ask if it wants us to stop recording. Okay. And then ask it the same question. Give it to me, because I don't know how to turn it off, just for proof. So go ahead and ask it the question.
If you want us to go to the basement, can you make my GoPro stop recording? Okay, so both of our hands are here.
Hands up.
And the GoPro keeps turning on and off by itself. Or not on and off, but it keeps on.
We ask if whatever is here wants us to stop recording. Zoom 50%. Stop recording. Do you want us to stop recording?
Not that you guys really saw us with the GoPro as my camera, but my camera had stopped recording by itself. I tried to recover the data and I have nothing from I mean, this was all me and Katana trying to do Renonautica.
Okay, well, right next to our point's a church, which is kind of funny.
And I know for a fact that my camera was recording, and
I remember that too, for
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so we are at a parking garage where a kid that went to our rival high school had jumped off the rooftop of a 5-story parking garage. So
Very sad.
we're gonna ask it a certain question, and if it does what the certain question asked, then
You have to say with this certain question because you can't actually say it. That's funny.
do you want us to stop recording?
No fucking way. Do you want us to stop recording?
So it is. It's the spirit at. It's the spirit at your house.
Would you like us to stop?
Do you want us to stop recording?
So that doesn't even trigger it. GoPro, stop recording.
Okay. We are headed out to the woods right now.
We'll go this way.
I'm gonna go for a walk. I have the K2 on me just in case.
That's because I'll go first, I guess. I'll tell you if it goes off. We do dumbest shit. There's a pumpkin there. I have two right here.
Wait.
Bring it more toward the pumpkin. Here, tell me that again.
No, it was like right here. Oh. That's like almost lined up with the gravestone.
Yeah. Alright, let's keep going.